So we'll start here again. Welcome to Words Falling from the Sky in the Present Moment. The good news from Sedona, where all the adults are trained in psychic abilities and in telepathy, where all the children are indigo, and where every yarn has its own personal vortex of spiritual energy, which they'll be happy to share with you, should you want an experience. First thing we want to do after introducing what the program name is to say thank you to all of the people who are part of our team here. Lou Adams, Jody, Christy, Rennick, Joseph, and my wife Crystal there.
Cindy.
And Cindy is here, and Honshin, I'm Honshin. So the idea is that we all work together here to create a sacred space so we can have events that will carry forth in the present moment an energy that we feel is important for everyone to experience. And we do it through music, Rennick here and his sitar, and we do it through poetry and stories and art and good company. And all those things come together to create a beautiful present golden moment. So this show's title for this month, this exhibition, is called Dolphins Dancing with December's Light and Symbols of the Ancient Mayan World. Now, somebody said, well, dolphins and Mayans, how does that work? Well, many years ago, I was in the Yucatan, and I was spending time in the ruins, a lot of time in the ruins, and I was having these experiences. And one of the things that entered my mind while I was in one of these special experiential places was that every pyramid is built on a cave, and that cave has a river running to it underground. And those rivers run out into the Caribbean, into all the cenotes. And I experienced the idea that at one point in time the dolphins would swim up into those rivers and up into those special sacred caves under the pyramids and commune with the shamans and the wise ones of that era. And the only speck of evidence that I might issue forth is the dolphins that are part of the Hopi poetry and imagery, and some of their kachinas that look like dolphins. And if you get a Hopi to come up with it, they sometimes will nod their head that, yeah, that's you're on the right track here. So the dolphins go back in my mind and connect me with ancient Mayan. And so the Mayan symbols are infused with the dolphins in this show because that was my experience. And no, I haven't figured it completely out yet, but there's lots of time to work on it. This is fun. Now, one of the things we also tell a little tiny story, it's a little bit of a storytelling thing tonight. A story about when we came to Sedona in 2012. I always tell this story because it's important to know that we were sitting on our porch one evening, and there at night talking about what was going to happen in 2012. And 2012 significant for the Mayans and for all of us, as we learned. Well, we were sitting there, and behind Thunder Mountain was a blue pulsing light coming from behind the mountain. We went, well, what is that? And I said, oh my gosh. And we're watching it, and then it sort of got brighter, and a sphere came around Thunder Mountain and came up Oak Creek and found its way right to where we were sitting on our deck. And it was about 4 or 6 feet in diameter, pulsing blue electromagnetic light. And we're going, oh, we're having a special experience here, and out of it came a beam and shot down onto the ground a little box that was gift wrapped. And we went, oh, well, we're okay, it's gift wrap. It looks like Christmas here. And then there was English written on it. And then we really knew we were safe because it was written in English, and if you read something in English, you know you're always safe. So it said, just open us up, and as soon as you open us up and push the on button, we'll be telepathically communicating with you instantly, and you'll know everything you need to know about operation of this device. So, okay, open it up, push the button. Telepathically, we're downloaded. This device goes out, 25-mile radius of Sedona, and gathers, just like the NSA and the CIA, all information on all of you without your permission. It gathers your dreams, though, and then it's the second button you push, and it sifts through all those dreams, and it pulls out all the creative dreams that might lead to more peace, compassion, happiness, and joy in the world. And what we do with those dreams, and we get those great dreams, we send them out by pushing another button, and they go out to all of our agents. He said, well, who are our agents? Well, we have millions of agents, and they live in every continent of the world, and some live off planet, but we won't get into that now. Push the button, and all those dreams go out to all the creative people. The artists, the poets, the architects, the dancers, the playwrights, the people who are writing, the creative, the dancers, all the creative people get those dreams to inspire them. And so from that creative network of art and artisans, we create a web of community that understands on a deeper level how deeply we're all connected through our hearts. And so that's what we do in our little organization, which we call the SIA, the Sedona Intelligence Agency. And if you're an artist, you're an agent. So you have no choice, we work with you. So that's the first story. And now we also like to always say, here the good news is all about science, art, and nature, and how they all blend together and create this dynamic in our world that brings us what I call the good things, the renewable things that we share, and the things that bring us more life and light, compassion, joy, peace, and harmony. And most recently, I've decided by all of my experience, and I'm sure all of your experience, that we've come to a place that we've all talked about in our metaphysical world about the paradigm shift that we knew would come. And I think it's here. I think we can all feel it emotionally and intellectually, and hopefully we don't have to experience it physically. But I think it does affect us physically as well, because it's such a strong force. And one of the things that I like to say about the paradigm shift is I think that we've had a lot of teachers before this shift who have given us the information we need in order to work together in community. And Thich Nhat Hanh, who we have our calendars for 15 years worked with, is one of those people who has helped us prepare us, because my interpretation of the new paradigm is that if you are not living in the present moment with your awareness fully awake in a compassionate mode, you're going to miss the paradigm shift, and you will fall into some state that no one wants to be in. So we all need to be very present in our intellectual and emotional present moment states with great awareness in order to guide ourselves through what Thomas Aquinas called the Felix Copa, the perfect flaw. And I am hoping that we are experiencing this perfect flaw that brings upon the paradigm shift that causes us all to become more aware and more awake and more proactive and more responsible for all of the life energies that we have and the way that they're connected to everyone else. So I think it's a really important thing to remember. So I've got two more perhaps things, and then we're going to have our dear friend Gary Every, who's the award-winning poet, writer, scholar of our area, who knows so many things to share and has so many things to share in story. He'll be coming on after I do two more, a story and a poem. Well, the story is an old story, and it comes from ancient China, and some of you may have heard it before. If not, I'd love to share it with you, because it always comes at critical points in my life. I like to dwell upon it. It's called the Perhaps story. So we're in deep China, somewhere, 100 BC maybe. The dynasty is quite strong and civilization is there. But we're in a rural village back deep in those mountains that sort of look a little bit like Sedona. And there's this wonderful village, and the head of the village man is this wonderful, magnificent being. He has a great flowing white beard, and number one son, number two son, two beautiful daughters, and a lovely wife. Only one. And a huge corral of magnificent herd of horses. 100 horses. And everyone in the village goes by every day and says, "Oh, you're so lucky, headman, you're so lucky you have everything. You have these beautiful horses, you have these wonderful children, the future, your family will go on and be the rulers of this valley." He said, "Well, perhaps." So the next week, the biggest typhoon that ever came to that region came rolling in. Massive black clouds turned the sky black, and hail started to fall, and 180-mile-an-hour winds were blowing. Everybody crawled into the root cellars till it blew over. And when they came out, all the wealth was gone. All the horses were gone. And all the people came by and said, "Oh, headman, we're so sorry, you're so unlucky. We're so sorry for you, you must be the most unlucky man." He said, "Perhaps." So the next day, they get themselves together and get some shelter together, and they go out, he goes out with his sons. And they walk for 2 days, and then, well, there are the hooves of horses. We found them in the mud. So they follow these horses into a box canyon, and there are all the horses. But with the horses is the most beautiful stallion anyone has ever seen. It's like a god horse or on earth. And they all fall down and go, "Oh my God." And they eventually get a rope around it, and they lead it out, they take it back to the village, and they lead all the horses back with this and all the village comes out and they say, "Oh, yeah, you must be the most lucky person on earth. You have all your horses, and you have the most magnificent celestial horse we've ever seen." He says, "Perhaps." The next week, they got the corral rebuilt, and number one son says, "Time to break the stallion." Gets on this stallion, and the stallion goes absolutely crazy. No one has ever seen a horse go this crazy. He's going 2.5 times his body off the ground, doing backflips and jumps and everything else. And of course, there goes number one son in the air, over the fence, and he lands on a very, very sharp rock. And it breaks his leg so bad the bones are coming out. And everybody goes, "You poor man, you just lost number one son. He was the best son you had, and now he's a cripple." And headman says, "Perhaps." A week later, here comes the emperor's conscriptor to take the first son of every family. Of course, they don't take the guy with the broken leg, so everybody comes up and says, "Headman, you're so lucky. You still get to keep your son." He says, "Perhaps." And so this is the perhaps story. We never know what looks really, really difficult and terrible could be a wonderful thing. We don't know until we ride that wave of the experience to the present moment, every present moment, so it could be revealed to us the treasure that was there. So now we'll go, thank you. So now we'll go to, here's the perhaps poem. It's somewhat redundant, but I like it anyway. Here we go, here it is. This is one page. It's called Perhaps No Truth, Perhaps No Facts, Perhaps No Gyroscope, entering 2017. Perhaps truths are lies. Perhaps lies are truths. Perhaps facts are opinions. Perhaps opinions are facts. Perhaps white is black. Perhaps black is white. Perhaps hot is cold. Perhaps cold is hot. Perhaps darkness is light. And perhaps light is darkness. Perhaps love is hate. And perhaps hate is love. Perhaps compassion is anger. Perhaps anger is compassion. Perhaps heaven is hell. Perhaps hell is heaven. Perhaps the inside is the outside. And perhaps the outside is the inside. Perhaps ignorance is knowing, and perhaps knowing is ignorance. Perhaps the future is the past. Perhaps the past is the future. Perhaps when we die, we live. And perhaps, most likely when we live, we die. Perhaps when we care, we share. And perhaps when we share, we care. Perhaps, all is perhaps. Find this precious present moment that we are in right now together. Perhaps there's peace there. Perhaps there's love there. Perhaps there's compassion and harmony there, and joy to share with the world. And if it's there, share it. It's what the world needs. That's the perhaps story. And so without any further ado, we would love to introduce our dear friend Gary. And I think Gary brought some books too, in case people want to see what he has written or take some of Gary home with them. He's brought his books here as well. Excellent. Here you go. Gary.
Passing back some Maya chocolate.
He's a little... Good to see you.
Boom! Bang! Boom! It was December 24th, 1914, and there was nothing quiet on the Western Front. There was the sound of artillery. Boom! 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 There was the sound of automatic machine guns. Bang! 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 There was the sound of screaming. There was the silence of death. It was December 24th, 1914, and there was nothing quiet on the Western Front. And someone, we don't know what side he was on, we don't know what language he said it in, but someone shouted out, "Merry Christmas," even though no one was married. And what's important is that someone on the other side answered back, and they said, "Merry Christmas." And before you knew it, the soldiers in that terrible trench warfare began to leave their weapons behind, climbed out of their trenches, climbed over the barbed wire through the mud, and met each other in no man's land. They exchanged hugs and handshakes. They shared liquor and cigarettes. They showed each other pictures of the families they were fighting for and stopped killing each other. They even began soccer games right there in the middle of World War I, making sure that men from all the different countries were on both teams so there'd be no fighting or arguing. Arm in arm, these soldiers in the middle of a war began to sing the same Christmas carols in their different languages. For years, historians didn't believe this happened. It took a couple decades before they could verify that in 1914, the world came this close to spontaneous world peace. I mean, what would happen if they had a war and no one came? It almost happened, and the only thing that stopped it was the generals ordered the artillery fired on their own troops because they couldn't put up with peace. So I wanted to tell the story to all of you here in the spirit of peace so that we could remember it and keep that dream alive. And I was wondering if you'd all help me here. If you want world peace, just say it with me 3 times in honor of those soldiers. Because by the time that war had ended, 4 more years had passed and millions of men had died. It was completely unnecessary. So just say, if you want world peace, say it with me now. We'll say it 3 times. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. We're getting warm. Hey, 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 hey.
I wanted to do it because of the wonderful mind and blood stuff that I wanted to do at least one Aztec story tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to share something with you about the cenotes you were talking about. Do you know what created? Oh, I turned that off, didn't I? There we go. Do you know what created those cenotes? The comet that wiped out the dinosaurs, Comet Tlaquepaque. It just sprayed the Central American Earth like it was full of Swiss cheese. It blew meteorite chunks through it. But that's what made the Mayan civilization possible. It was an extraterrestrial comet that wiped out the dinosaurs. That's not my poem, though. This one is, like I said, it's an Aztec Mayan legend. This is called Childbirth Warriors. She screamed just before she died. Visions of flower petals floating before her eyes. The newborn orphaned girl cries as one life springs from the womb and another drifts to the underworld. The goddess in a green jade skirt sweeps the clouds clean, trying to make room for another soul in heaven, while the newborn baby girl sighs. Tlaquepaque, the skeleton king, beckons with a bony finger, telling the dead mother's soul not to linger, because like the feathered soldiers whose hearts bleed upon the altar, childbirth warriors are welcomed into heaven. The earth goddess in the green jade skirt, goddess of lakes, streams, waterfalls, and oceans, all of them filled with imperfect reflections of grandmothers, mothers, and daughters, reoccurring echoes of the dream of Eve. And somewhere, an orphan baby girl begins to cry, while the scent of flower blossoms floats on the breeze.
Oh, take another name off right now. Each poem gets a layer off. Yeah.
This is the last one. You know, this one's kind of about the. I love Honshin's work. I can't think. You know, this is about the metaphysics of color. That's what this is. This is called Eyes as Blue as Heaven. All right. So the other day, I was walking down the street, and I saw my friend Brian, and he walks up and he goes, "Gary, I haven't seen you around in the longest time. How have you been?" I'm like, "Well, Brian, nobody saw me around for a while. I was suffering from an acute case of invisibility." "Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that." No, I'm better now. You can see me and stuff. You know, I went and saw a doctor, and the doctor told me I wanted to eat a box of crayons. And at work, now people can see me. I'm feeling pretty good, you know. Brian's like, "Well, I'm glad to hear you're feeling better." And he shook my hand and was ready to go on his way. But I didn't let go because I wasn't done talking yet. I still had some things to say, you know. I said, it occurred to me after the doctor gave me this prescription that just maybe they should pass a law, because all the time we see each other, we say, "Hi, how are you? Good, fine." It means nothing at all, right? But what if when someone walked up and said, "How are you doing?" you had to answer with one of the colors from a Crayola box of crayons, you know? People who had big vocabularies would like use the 128 pack. People who aren't as well educated would maybe have little 10 packs, you know? But, you know, and I said, "Let's try this out, Brian. How you doing today?" And he goes, "You know, I'm kind of like pea green today." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I am so sorry to hear that. Get some exercise, watch your diet. Maybe you'll feel a little better, you know?" And I said, "Go ahead, ask me." He's like, "How are you doing, Gary?" And I said, "I am having an Indian red kind of day." I could tell he was impressed. He thought I was crazy till just that moment. But once I said I was having an Indian red kind of day, he was going with it, you know? And that's when this sports car pulled up to the curb, and this beautiful woman got out in this tight little black dress. And I'm like, "Check out that babe. She is so tangerine dream." And he goes, "Hey, that's my girlfriend." And I said, wait, tangerine dream is good. And he had to think about it. Was tangerine dream good? Was it not good? Was it too good? You could kind of see the wheels spinning, the gears grinding, little puffs of smoke coming out of his ears. And I don't blame him, because there's a lot of metaphysical stuff we take for granted with color. Right? The further back you go into ancient texts, and it doesn't matter if we're talking Chinese or Mayan or Sumerian or Greek, wherever you look at, the further back you go, the less colors they mention. Now, colors have always been there. It's our naming of the colors that carries the metaphysical weight. Once you put a label on something, it begins to change. It's not just existing anymore. I mean, for instance, in every culture across the world, black and white are the first two colors, light and dark. The next color to get a name is always red. The color of blood, the color of life and death, the color of sacrifice. And then after that, it varies from culture to culture. Some cultures, yellow is the next lucky fellow to get a name. In other cultures, green might be next. But what's important to note is that in every Aboriginal culture across the world, blue and green are different shades of the same color. Nobody invents the color blue until after they invented the written word. We're not sure why that is. Scientists speculate. There's not a lot of blue food out there. There's not a lot of blue animals, you know. Blue flowers are usually, when you look at them close, like hybrids and stuff. You know? People always go, "Well, the sky's blue." Really? Go out there right now and look up at it. Is the sky blue right now? What about at sunset? What about during a storm? Not so much, huh? You know? And that's the metaphysics of it, because the sky is where heaven is. Blue is kind of the color of heaven. The example I can give you of that is the great Julius Caesar. right? I mean, Julius Caesar wasn't just the most powerful man in his lifetime. He may have been the most powerful man in all of history. I mean, the month July is still named after Julius Caesar. They only got 12 of those to hand out. They listed a couple of them on planets. You know? I mean, he's kicking ass and taking names. July, Julius Caesar, you know? So imagine you're Julius Caesar. You're sitting there in Rome. You're sitting on your throne. You are the ruler of the known world. And suddenly the Egyptians come. The people who invented the color blue. They were the first people to describe the color blue, the Egyptians. And the reason they did it was because they had precious stones. They had turquoise, they had malachite, they had azurite, they had lapis lazuli. They wanted to find a way to differentiate their stones. So they invented green, they invented blue, and the main use they had for azurite was these beautiful Egyptian women with the long black hair and the brown skin and black eyes would grind azurite up and make it into an eyeshadow. So you're Julius Caesar and you're sitting on your throne and the Egyptians have brought you a gift. They've brought you this giant tapestry. And it's loaded with all these brilliant colors we love to name now. And they're unrolling it right there in the Roman court. And as they unroll the rug and they get right to the very end of it, up pops a teenage Cleopatra, wearing next to nothing. But she's got her eyeshadow. And suddenly Julius Caesar knew the meaning of the color blue. Suddenly Julius Caesar understood the meaning of heaven.
Yeah, all right. All right, good. Okay. Excellent.
I lost a shirt somewhere.
Oh, thank you so much. That was so good. That was good. I think the color poem. Thank you. I think the color poem was so nice. I enjoyed it. Okay, well, this is good. Gary is so wonderful. I really enjoy it. So I'm gonna do a poem here that is for the season, of course, and it's about all the good things of the time, because we've hit some of the stuff that we need to work with hard. So let's enjoy some of the stuff that is easy, even though it starts out. It's called The Fragrance of Christmas's Joy. It starts out darkness, darkness, and more darkness. Here, now, in the waning light of the season of our most enduring tests, gather together, gather friends, gather the loved ones together, gather the family together, and gather all of the cherished heart in this most ancient perennial ritual of a love's feast for us all to share now together. The peace, the compassion, and the love of our hearts. Share now the abundance together of nature's gifts. Share now the creativity together of life's gifts. Be joyous in sharing together in deep understanding and in love. This is the Magi's gift. Celebrate now the fragrance of Christmas's joy together. Pine, mistletoe, chestnuts, roasting, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, baked yams, sweet potatoes, turkey and ham, sausages, gravies of all, pineapple, brown sugar, cranberries, apple, pumpkin, and mincemeat pies, breakfast rolls and fruited bread, eggnog, black and white Russians, sherries, ports, brandies, and hot spiced wine. Finally, the essence, frankincense, myrrh, rose, and gold. Breathe in this elixir of this joyous present moment time, as it will carry us from now into spring, renewal, and rebirth. That's why we all get together. We can be happy till spring, so we have to endure the darkness and the cold. So, I'm so happy to have everyone here to share, and we always try to say at the end, do not discount the importance of yourself, because each of us carry the energy of love and compassion and peace and harmony and joy and understanding. And every time we share it with our thoughts, our words, or our actions, it goes out into the world and touches others, and they are often inspired to become the same way and do the same things. And we do make a difference. The world is in an infinitely delicate balance. And just one person, I believe personally, that just one person can make a difference in the tipping of the scale. Because it is so truly delicate. And we learn this more and more. I mean, the information world is impressing upon us in the new paradigm that we need to be present in the present moment, and do not shy away from your responsibility of speaking your heart and sharing it with others in a joyful, compassionate, peaceful, harmonious way. Because that's what we will build. Our community will hold together if that's happening, no matter what forces come from the outside. And we pray that it's perhaps this is exactly the moment we needed to get to the next level. So that's my prayer, and I hope it's all your prayers, and we all share together in the oneness that makes the world a beautiful place. Thank you so much for being here.